Hi there, my name is Erik from Ziflow, and welcome to our Spring 2024 product release webinar. First of all, we'll introduce ourselves, the folks that you're about to speak with. We will talk through each one of our new features that have come out over these past 3 months, 3 or 4 months, I should say, bucketed into themes. We will discuss our amazing Project Mosaic, where we've come and where we are headed. We will discuss our Ziflow Ideas Board, something we are absolutely stoked about, a way for everybody on this call and customers and future customers alike to let us know what their ideas are and sort of track the progress of them. And I welcome you to a future webinar somewhere down the road. Once again, my name is Erik Mansur from Ziflow. I am just outside of Boston, Mass. Let's do some official introductions, shall we? Immediately off to the left-hand side of the screen is a bubble, a gentleman who's a good friend of mine. He is our solutions engineer here at Ziflow. His name's Mike Hrymak. Mike, introduce yourself. Let the audience know a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining today. Excited to show you some Ziflow features. As Erik mentioned, I'm a solutions engineer here at Ziflow. And if you've done a product demo over the past 2 or 3 years, there's a pretty good chance we've spoke. So excited to get to show you some new cool things we've done here. And yeah.
To the immediate right of your introduction screen, that head in the bubble, is our head of product. His name is John Stetic. John, introduce yourself and say hi.
Thanks for joining us. I'm excited to share with you a little sneak peek as to what we have coming in the future and how our users can continue to give us feedback.
Let's get into our first theme, shall we? This first theme is all about commenting and markup. Now, I have to tell you, this is the enterprise-grade collaborative proofing platform. Ziflow is the industry leader, and one of the reasons why we are in that rarefied air is our proof viewer. The ability for a whole host of collaborators to be able to come in and offer comments and suggestions, markup on a whole host of creative assets. This theme focuses specifically on Proof Viewer and some of the exciting improvements we have made over these past couple of months. Mike, let's dive right into one of our sizable, big chunk sets of features that we worked on over these past few weeks, specifically as it pertains to text selection and markup.
Yeah. So the first thing we're going to show you today is some improvements that did happen to text selection and markup. And this was a cool one for me, to be honest. I think in anybody who's doing copy markup or copy review or copy annotation, it's a more visual experience and also a little bit of an easier experience when it comes to actually applying edits to something in InDesign or Illustrator or just within the comment itself. And so if you've been using Ziflow, you may have noticed this, but when I go to hover over some text, of course, we always auto sense that text for you. But you'll see there's some more color options around the actual text that gets brought into the comment box. If I go to highlight it, maybe I want to replace it. We can see it's got a kind of strike through that's really visually appealing there with red. I can delete, insert, and so on. And two other things to note is around the actual copy itself, I've got this option to copy what I want to replace, and then also copy what I want to replace it with. So if I just grab that and then Control V it and throw it into the actual box, I can now edit and annotate this. Maybe I make some changes. And then let's say my designer opens up the InDesign integration and they want to apply this new feedback directly to the new document they're working on. I can just click that with, and that's going to copy that text to my clipboard as well.
The one thing that I really like about this is I'm a visual guy, Mike, and I don't just want to see white text on a gray background with some indicators to tell me what it is that I'm trying to do with this. The fact that we've added blue text, the fact that we've added red strike through text, that gives me an instant visualization and tells me instantly that what it is that I'm doing with this highlighted text means something, and I'm affecting it in some way. I think that's pretty valuable. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's just really clear what you want to do there. A goal of Ziflow, of course, is to provide very clear feedback on any asset type. And if you take one look at this, hey, I want to replace this text that I'd marked up, and hey, here's what I want to put in its place.
But in the past, these sort of icons or these tokens were really just directional, but now they've become functional because clicking on them will copy the text directly after the token to your clipboard, which I think really comes in handy when you're trying to interact with the copy within a comment, or if you're a designer and you're using Ziflow's extension within Adobe Creative Cloud, you can copy that text and paste it directly into the design file.
Yeah, just take it and run away with it. Use it whatever way you want to use it in that new file. You don't have to worry about like typing it and maybe mistyping what was said. It's just copy it and you're going to put exactly what was requested in that new document.
So copying is easy. Just click on the token. Pasting, even easier, Control V. Pasting is actually something, another improvement that we have made to Ziflow's commenting engine over these past few months. And that is the ability to paste images directly into comments as attachments. No more needing to have the attachment downloaded directly or natively on your computer, or perhaps even in a file format someplace. You don't need to click the paperclip icon any longer. You can really just, Control V and paste it directly into a comment.
Yeah, just Control V. You grab an image off the internet, off of some image generation site, or just, off your desktop. When you paste that in there, it's going to add it as an attachment. You used to be able to go in there and attach the file, but you'd have to have that locally available to you to attach. Instead, we're going to give you that option, paste it, throw it right in there, add your feedback, hey, let's use this image or whatever the annotation is there. And then that, of course, is available to you directly within that comment to download. Just like this adorable image of my dog blitzing.
I think it's a great image, frankly, Mike, but it's super easy where, you don't necessarily need to, go to Google Images and then download something and have a whole folder of images you're only using once for the purposes of collaborating on an asset.
Yeah.
Now you can really just, right click and copy image and then paste it in instantly and easily without that extra step of downloading.
Yeah, right there, ready for you to go. And I look at my desktop sometimes and there's 50 images that I saved to put somewhere. Kind of clears that up as well.
Adding comments, so important. We've talked about adding comments or attachments to comments, just very quickly pasting them. We've talked about adding comments to text markup or PDFs, things of that nature. Let's go into video, which is becoming more and more of an asset format that marketing teams all over the planet are really now focusing on. We've made some changes to the way we do video markup that I think is really valuable, and it'd be good to show a demo during our webinar today.
Yeah, this is really all about just giving you some intuitive range selection options, allowing you to very effortlessly drag an entire selected range left or right. So you can really pinpoint the area of the video that you want to mark up. It says live life to the full here. I probably meant live life to the fullest. I can add that feedback, ABC, XYZ, whatever I want to do. And, of course, I can kind of click this out, use the precision scrubber to choose the range base and all of that. But there's a couple things that now change for me. One, maybe if I want to adjust this back and forth, I've got this little green bar underneath that I can drag around to say, hey, this is actually where I'm referring to on this. As I hit play in here, if I loop this playback, it actually plays within the comment box itself so that we're not continuously having to let it run and then click back. And I can still see the frames outside of this clip, but it's all a little bit more specific for the actual markup area we're referring to here.
Yeah, I think the difference between this and our previous functionality, we've really just made a cleared line of separation between the playhead of the video itself, the primary playhead, and then your selection area, literally indicated by that green line beneath. And it's making it, my gosh, quite a little bit easier to sort of be more precise in the comment that you want to leave about a specific area of that video. So I think that's really valuable.
Yeah, really focused. I mean, video editors, I think, are pretty tech savvy, at least all the ones I talk to. They're very quick with their clicks. We want to give a really focused area of where the feedback is being applied, so you can add that comment and not have to worry about dragging around, or if you clicked outside of this range, it would remove this kind of shift section over to where you clicked. That can be a bit of a headache or a pain. Kind of alleviated that and just giving a really focused area for video comments.
Really positive change. You mentioned tech savviness just a second ago. I think a lot of Ziflow users, creative team members, if you work in an advertising or creative agency, you're probably pretty tech savvy. Oftentimes, and this is not always, but sometimes, your stakeholders, your clients, they may not necessarily be as tech savvy or really creative savvy. They may be offering feedback, suggestions, comments on assets that you as a creative team or as an agency team may want to have a private discussion about that comment right from within Ziflow itself, rather than having to take it offline. Coming in the next few weeks, we're aiming for a July 3rd release for this feature, the ability to add private replies to public comments. Mike, I know you've got a staging environment queued up there. Let's take a look at the ability to leave a private reply on a public comment.
Yeah, so again, this is something that's coming out pretty soon here. So it's not released quite yet, but expected in the new one of the next releases here. But it's all about just that idea of maybe a comment was a little bit ambiguous or needed some clarification for the internal team, and being able to reply to that comment without that stakeholder being able to see what feedback's happening on underneath there. So for example, Corey here, he had requested to make this image pop. Maybe I had a discussion with Corey offline where we had talked about using a brighter image header. And so I've replied there with a new image to use. I can copy and paste that image in there. We can see it's a private comment. So the only ones that are able to see this are myself and my internal team or internal design team. We requested to swap the layout of this to match a layout of a different brochure. What brochure is that? Well, I can go find it. Maybe I paste the link to that proof in there and say, hey, Anna, this is what he's referring to, blah, 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 and then mark that comment as private, because it's not really relevant to Corey, but when our designers go away to work on the new version, they probably want that information pretty readily available to them.
And like I said, this keeps you from having to have private offline conversations amongst your designers about a comment that was left by a stakeholder. You can all have them contained within Ziflow. So it's just easy to access all of this information within the context of the asset itself.
Yeah, no need to run off to Slack to have that comment where it's then not captured by Ziflow. It's all going to be kind of situated still within Ziflow where you are in your own space within the proof, but it's all collected together.
One of the things that I love most about our software is our color separations feature, something that we offer on PDFs. So when I'm looking at your screen, Mike, I'm seeing that yellow, beneath that it's time for a new adventure, or Adventure Travel is the leading global travel company. I think that's the right yellow to my eyes, but I don't know if it's the right yellow for our brand were it not for the fact that we had color separation. Great feature that we have on our platform, but now we've expanded it. So rather than having just to upload a PDF with that color separation information inside, we can now do this for InDesign files and Illustrator files. Can we take a look at that real quick?
Yeah. So if we flip over here, I've got a proof, this package design, which is where we see color separations come up all the time. That's an actual, .ai file. Could also be a .indd. And when we think about, before it had to be a PDF to generate those color separations, that might be an extra step or two for someone to generate that document and drop it into Ziflow. And if they're doing hundreds of proofs a year, that's a lot of extra steps that add up. And so we've always been able to accept Illustrator and InDesign files natively. You can drop it into Ziflow and review it, but it wouldn't generate those color separations. Well, we've gone ahead and allowed you to do that. So if I now open this up, I have that color separation option that's been generated. I can see my Pantone colors. I can see the colored layers. If we had done an emboss or varnish on top of this, I can toggle that on and off. And, it's within the actual file format that I wanted to use.
It's great, and it's so much easier for designers because they don't have to, download or export the AI file or the INDD file as a PDF first before they upload it into Ziflow. They can either use our Adobe Creative Cloud extension or just upload the file itself, dragging it right into Ziflow. Whatever workflow works best for them, it actually saves them a step from having to do that export prior to upload. Love it. It's great. We have a few more features within this theme, commenting and markup, that we can show you as part of our slideware portion. The first thing being is support for 4K video in our proof viewer. Now, we've always supported full HD video in the proof viewer, no matter what type of the size of the resolution that you've uploaded in order to get processed. But we've had a lot of feedback from a lot of our customers, particularly very video-heavy customers, that want to be able to see 4K video within proof viewer itself. So we have a new setting and an admin level underneath the general settings called Video Proofing Resolution. And by selecting away from the default being full HD as we have now, by selecting the 4K or the higher res, it will allow for the ability for your stakeholders of all stripes to be able to see 4K video within Proof Viewer. Now, one note, 4K video is pretty expansive. It's higher resolution, so that may result in increased processing time. It may take a second for that workflow to kick off and emails to go out to have your stakeholders to proof those videos within Proof Viewer, but the resultant video is going to look amazing. Speaking of increases in resolution, there are two different types of website proofs that you can do within Ziflow. Live websites, in which case Proof Viewer essentially becomes a web browser, There's also website snapshots where you can, take a URL and we will take a snapshot of that website and put that into Ziflow's proof viewer for commenting and markup. Website snapshots had previously, we'd taken a snapshot at 1,366 pixels. A few months back, we released an update that allowed for the resolution for all new snapshots to be taken at 1,920 pixels, an increase of 500 and some odd pixels, which is great. The other thing too there is if you already have an existing snapshot proof that's already taken at 1366, new versions will be at 1366, but we released this so long ago, we're fairly confident that all new website snapshot proofs now, you will see them in a glorious 1,920 pixels. Let's move on to our next theme, which is reviewers and roles. Now, the collaboration that happens within Proof Viewer doesn't happen without having reviewers, without people within your team that are going to be coming into Proof Viewer, going to be having access to the tool, and going to be offering their feedback, comments, and suggestions. We love to have them. And that's the reason why this theme is focused on not only the roles that they represent, but their capabilities as reviewers and the communication that they get from the platform itself. So Mike, one of those things is for the administrators themselves, enhanced visibility and updating controls over those reviewers' roles during the course of doing a review. Let's take a look at some of that during the course of perhaps creating a new proof within Ziflow.
Yeah, so we had kind of heard there was maybe some confusion over which permissions had been granted on a given proof. And so with this release, we kind of revamped the design to give really a clear overview of reviewer roles within, a proof they've been added to or when I've applied that workflow. If I'm doing a rundown of a really high volume of proofs, it's really easy for me to check everything that's good. I've got a visual view as to what each individual can do. In this internal design stage, everybody can comment. I've checked that box. I can see that. Carol and Erik here, right now, they're not decision makers, but if I check that, I know I've given Carol the ability to approve this asset. If we're scrolling through the whole list here and we've got 15, 20, 30 decision makers or potential decision makers on here, it's easy for me to just see there's tickable boxes, clear design, bold column headers, just so I can quickly understand permissions at a glance when I'm in here.
Awesome. And the fact that they're clickable text boxes, even if I don't click a thing, I can still look at this and very instantly understand who is going to be my commenters, approvers, and who has the ability to share this. So it even just registers in my brain just very quickly just by taking a look at it. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So right there, ready for you.
Speaking of things or seeing things quickly at a glance, you can include up to 256 characters in your average file name or file format. That's pretty lengthy, but we also know that for a whole host of creative teams, they're reaching 256 or just slightly less. Because within the file naming conventions, you need to include the file format, the campaign name, the date or season. You need to include the context. Where is this going to be displayed? Perhaps the designer, the client that you're doing this for, it takes up a lot of room. And something that existed within Dashboard 1.0 within Ziflow, we would truncate those file names. So we would, limit it to about 40 characters and then a ... But now, as a result of a release we had just a few weeks ago, we are now showing the entire file name within the creation of a new proof, not truncating any longer, but in fact, putting in a wrapped text format so you can see exactly which one of these files is the one that you're looking for. Mike, talk through some of the use cases here.
Yeah, we all have our naming conventions for our files. Some of them can be very specific and tailored. Some of them could be final version, actual final version 6. And so before you drop the files in there, if you're doing a batch review, you're dropping in 6 different photos or 4 different web banners, you kind of have to specifically hover over a certain location to get that file name to kick out because most of it would be obscured. We could see here, I've got actual final 2, actual final 1, both uploaded. I might want them in a specific order. And so now that I know that, hey, this is actually the first one, I can drag that up there and adjust it. And it's all right within the proof creation screen for me.
Once again, that is a feature that is exclusive to Dashboard 2.0, as is the enhanced visibility and updated controls over reviewer roles. Exciting things. Let's talk specifically about the reviewers themselves.
Mhm.
You know, let's say I've gone on PTO and I've missed a version, or perhaps I've left a decision on a version, and then I've gone away for a week and I've come back and that project is still gestating, but I actually forgot what decision I left on that version. Now I could go through my email, I could type in search and find that, find that confirmation email about my decision. But I want to be able to see what my decision was within Proof Viewer itself, particularly if I'm in either compare mode or just looking back at an old version. So this is one of those things that buckets within the reviewers and roles theme, where we're giving more information to the reviewers themselves about decisions they have made in the past. Mike, let's take a look at what that looks like in the course of using Proof Viewer.
Yeah. So when I go to compare this proof, we see this newsletter is on version 2 right now, and I open up the compare mode. Couple things to point out. So one on the left, of course, I can see the old feedback that's been there for, who knows how long, being able to review the old comments that were made. But right at the top of the list, I can see, hey, my decision on this version cannot be changed. It was changes required before. So I've got a visual cue there of what feedback I submitted. As you mentioned, Eric, it might be a case of you were in Cabo for a week, and so you didn't add any feedback on the last version of this proof. And so you go back and see, okay, cool, there was nothing there. Let me jump to version 1 if I had any thoughts. Alternatively, maybe I provided a decision of approve with changes. We just wanted to update the Costa Rica package to the Galapagos Islands package or vice versa. And I know, hey, I already kind of approved everything on this. This looks like it's been updated. I'm good to go.
And if you back out of compare mode and only are viewing version 1, it becomes far more clear to me as a reviewer what my initial decision was. We go from having an icon to a full icon plus text to really let me know that if I was in Cabo getting as red as my shirt, I will have known that I had made a changes required decision prior to leaving.
Yeah.
Love it. Let's take a look at some of these slideware features, or actual features that we had delivered, but simply something we won't demo for you based on time here in that review and reviewers and roles theme. The first thing being new logic for displaying the replace or append workflow warning. We heard a lot of feedback from new and longtime customers of Ziflow that if they're just building a new proof and they add, a workflow template, we would fire off a warning to say, hey, you're about to replace or append the existing workflow. Are you sure you want to do this? Well, if I'm selecting a workflow template and I am the only person within the routing that I've built, of course I want to replace or append this workflow. So we've basically changed the logic here. So we will only show this alert. You might be doing something you don't want to do, a warning sign, unless only if there is more than one stage within the workflow that you've built, or at least one collaborator other than the proof creator. So one less thing to have to worry about, one less dialogue I have to click through. We're being more intuitive and smart about displaying these types of warnings, which are very valuable, but not valuable all the time. Second thing on this slide, a very, very hearty happy birthday to Ziflow's Dashboard 2.0 coming up this July 20th. We're so excited to continue to develop on arguably the greatest, if not the industry's best, creative operations dashboard. But this is a gentle reminder that we will eventually stop supporting our legacy dashboard, Dashboard 1.0. This is not an official date announcement. This is not a sharp stick in the back, I promise. But there will be a sunset announcement and potentially a transition plan before the end of 2024. So just something to keep an eye on. Further and future developments, as you saw, just two features I just mentioned just a second ago, are only available in Dashboard 2.0, and it is the newest and best version of the software that we will continue to develop on throughout this year and beyond. Mike, let's jump over to our next theme, which is portability and connectivity. Portability and connectivity within Ziflow is the ability to pull stuff out of Ziflow, whether it be information in a PDF report or the files themselves, and connectivity, because we know that your review and approval process, your creative process, does not exist in a vacuum. So Ziflow needs to be able to connect end to end with every portion of your creative process, hence connectivity. Mike, let's start with the portability aspect of things, the ability to download a lot more original files from Ziflow in bulk.
Yeah, bulk download has gotten bulkier. I think that's what we've been saying. So before, if I had maybe a campaign's just wrapped up, we had 30 assets we created for the client. I want to pull them all out of Ziflow, the approved versions of it. I was able to go in here and kind of select all these proofs and then go ahead and download them all. And we can still do that. Nothing's really changed to that process, but the amount you can download has expanded. Previously, it was 50 gigabytes. which might work for some, but if we're doing a bunch of videos and larger file types, it might be a little bit limited there. I think after looking around, we found that the industry standard was around more like 250 gigabytes. So we've updated that. You can now export up to 250 gigabytes out of Ziflow's dashboard at once. That will either come through as a download here to file as a zip. You'll also get an email notification when that's ready to download. And that email will say, this works for 24 hours. Come grab this zip file with your up to 250 gigabytes of files.
So once again, the announcement here is not so much that you can download files out of Ziflow. You've always been able to do that. We've just 5x'd the amount or size of files that you can download from Ziflow from 50 gigs to 250 gigs, available within the same sort of multi-select and download as a zip functionality that we've always had. Love it. Let's get on to the connectivity portion of things. Now, if you're an avid user of Ziflow, particularly a Ziflow administrator, you're in the dashboard, you're in this part of our platform, usually indicated by a little checkbox in the far left-hand navigation on the far left rail. Directly beneath that far left navigation is something that looks like a plug. That is our Ziflow Connect interface, a way for you to plug in and literally connect other aspects and other applications of your creative process directly within Ziflow. One thing we've made mention of is this idea of, the ability to have, application fields. I want to be able to see a widget of some kind on my proof creation screen or on my proof detail screen that tells me and lets me know, exactly what task I'm associating this proof with or what board this proof is going to be brought into. We've added greater adoption of those tools with this past couple of months, and that's something we'll delve into now. Mike, let's talk a little bit about application fields on a proof and then how that comes into play within Ziflow itself.
Yeah, this is all about integration properties within Ziflow. And so we've had this integration properties section for a few products already. I mean, if you're using Monday.com, Asana, Jira, Slack, SharePoint, a few other ones as well. You've been able to turn on this field where you can choose the item or task that you want to connect to. And, Ziflow, we want to expand to as many as we can. Not everyone's using Monday or Asana. We've got a lot of customers using Basecamp today, or Hrymak, or Trello, or ClickUp. And so we've expanded that offering to be able to, not only already connect to your ClickUp account, but now you can go into the settings. And this is also, again, in Hrymak, Basecamp, Trello, and a few others that already exist, and show that application fields on a proof. And so that's going to allow you to do two things. One, when you're creating a proof, you can go in here, and in your integration section, you're going to have that list where you can say, okay, cool. I know for this proof, I want to connect to, this project, and the task that I want to start updating is this particular task with maybe status changes or a proof link. You can easily connect out of here and use some of the Ziflow Connect tools to start sending those automations off as events happen in Ziflow. And then when you're back in the proof itself, as you go into the actual integrations properties section, you'll be able to see whatever you did to connect that to right within the proof details pane.
Now, it is unreasonable to think that the average customer has both or all of a Trello, ClickUp, Basecamp, Hrymak, all of those different accounts. So chances are for most users, they're going to see one of these integration properties. So the purpose of this demo, you're showing that we support multitude, but ultimately activating application fields on a proof will now be supported for Basecamp, Hrymak, Trello, and ClickUp as a result of this past quarter's new feature updates.
Yeah. So if you're familiar with the integration way we might work with a Basecamp or Trello today, you're probably using a custom property field to store the task or to-do ID somewhere on the proof. This is going to replace that, make it easier to connect and build out new connect flows. So if it is something you're interested in moving to, reach out. We want to make it really easy to use these integration properties and just make sure that information's flowing to the proper project management tool in the most efficient way.
I love it. Let's go right into theme 4 here, which is folders. Everyone's got folders. I got folders on my desktop. I got folders in my file cabinet. Folders within Ziflow is, again, a sort of meta file architecture that allows for you to have nested within individual folders, keeping everything organized and on track. Folders are actually helping us lay the groundwork for Project Mosaic, which is terribly exciting. And I wanted to talk through 2 specific features that, again, is helping us lay that groundwork for our exciting new developments that are going to be happening within 2024. The first being really just in addition to a context menu. I want to be able to add a folder in multiple different ways. Mike, let's show the audience this right now.
Yeah, this is an update that I think, when you think about it, just makes sense as an addition to the platform. So if I wanted to add a folder, I'd hit the little drop down and I'd create that new folder and choose who to share it with. But if I'm in, a desktop or maybe a asset management system, a lot of times I'm just right clicking on the folder I want to create a subfolder on, and I can do it. And so we've added that ability. On the left-hand side, if I click on that pair incorporated section, I can of course now create a new folder from here. Additionally, if I'm in, a window, I'm looking at pair incorporated and all the proofs and all the associated subfolders, I can right click in there and create a new subfolder of a particular, Ziflow folder within there. So just kind of like how it already works in most of the world, it now works in Ziflow as well.
I like that. It's how it already works in most of the world. We're mirroring the behavior that exists in a whole host of other user interfaces. We want to make sure when you're using Ziflow's dashboard, it feels like home, which is another reason why, and it brings us to our next feature, why we've streamlined the workflow for sharing folders with other team members, making it align a little bit more similarly to, for example, a Google Drive. Mike, why don't you show that sort of streamlined workflow for sharing folders with other team members and stakeholders?
Yeah, so if I was going to share maybe this travel campaign folder, I click in. If you're familiar with this in the past, you would have to hit done or save to actually apply those settings, which opens up a whole world of issues of me accidentally closing out before hitting, done, and it not actually sharing that folder with the individual I meant to. And so we've introduced kind of an autosave to this. As I drop in maybe, Anna here, I want her to work on this. And I kind of choose what to do, or maybe I just go to grab the folder shareable link. If I change this from restricted, or I change this back to anyone with a link, we'll see it updates in real time. So it's an auto save to the folder setting functionality right within that share folder window. It's
Nice.
It's meant to be more intuitive, a little less confusing, and just streamline the sharing process.
Nice. So when you select somebody from the bar at the top, the button changes from done to share. So you're actually sharing to close the window and share it with Anna. Whereas if you're just changing the folder permissions, that happens automatically. It doesn't require a subsequent button press. And again, aligns very similarly to the way Google Drive works, makes it that much easier to sort of get that stuff shared and into the hands of the people who need to see it.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Let's double down on folders in just a moment with one more addition that we want to make, which is a change in folder cloning behavior. Those of you at home, count the amount of times I say the word clone over these next 10 seconds. Our previous functionality would mean that if you tried to clone a folder, the cloned folder would retain the original owner as the folder that was cloned, which means if I am trying to clone a folder that Mike had originally owned, Mike would be the owner of the cloned folder. That doesn't make any sense. So we made a tweak to this logic. So now when you clone a folder, you will be the owner of the newly cloned folder. So the correct logic, if I'm cloning a folder that Mike was the original owner of, I am the owner of the newly cloned folder. I counted in my head about 12 times, but those of you scoring at home can maybe give me a different indicator there.
You're a regular Dr. Seuss, Erik. That's for sure.
I really am. I need to figure out a word that rhymes with the word clone next time we do this. All of these folder features are basically laying the groundwork, the yellow brick road to the Emerald City that is our amazing Project Mosaic. And I want to turn the mic over to my good friend, John Stetic, who's going to tell us the story so far with Project Mosaic and bring those of you who may not have attended our webinar in February up to speed. John, you got the ball.
Thanks so much, Erik. Let's talk a little bit about Project Mosaic. So for those of you not familiar with Project Mosaic, this is something we embarked on this year, and we talked a little bit about it at our last webinar. But just as a quick refresh, what are we trying to do with Project Mosaic? So it's got three main goals that we're trying to solve for. One is to make it easier to manage and review a set of proofs. The next is to be able to allow you to have unique versions and approvals on each asset in a group or each proof in a group. And we'll talk specifically about what that means. And then ultimately being able to streamline notifications for multi-proof projects as well. Effectively, what we want you to be able to do is see everything and approve anything is really what we want to try to accomplish here with Project Mosaic. Now, where does that fit into your lives? So there's really four use cases that we're targeting here. The first one is around review and approval of multi-page document. In a lot of cases, you might have a large multi-page document. There's a lot of layout that goes into it. A couple pages get approved, some get rejected, some changes needed. And right now, you need to approve the entire document a new version comes in, you have to look through all the pages again. So this idea of being able to separate out and have page level approval is what we can accomplish here. Variant reviews, same general idea, but maybe you've got different banner sizes or websites in different languages or videos of different languages. So you want to be able to look at all these variants and sort of, you want to treat them together and group them together, but you want to be able to approve them separately, because once you approve one and it's finished, you don't need to have to keep versioning a bunch of them. Same thing with multi-channel campaigns, being able to see an entire campaign in its entirety, all the different creative that goes into it, but be able to approve and reject individual components of it. And then asset selection or image selection, where you can select and reject images. This is especially true for a lot of people that do a lot of photo shoot work and you want to be selecting images for it. So those are the 4 use cases that we seek to work on with Project Mosaic, and that's supported by a whole host of features. So let's give you a little bit of a demo of that. When we met last time, we walked you through a little bit of a prototype demo that was a little click-through demo. And now what I'm excited to be able to show here is real working code here. So 3 core goals here, addressing 4 different use cases here. So let's move on to the demo portion here. Okay, so let's jump in here to taking a look at this live code that's now running, and this will be available to people if you're part of the Mosaic Early Access program. So what you'll notice here, we're in the dashboard here. I'm going to start off with the multi-page example. So I've got a proof here of a catalog. So you can see I've set this up to have 14 separate files, but they just got merged together here into one big PDF. And so this is what you would typically see if you open up that proof. So you can see all the pages, you can jump through each of the pages, and you can make comments on each of them individually. But when you make a decision, you're making a decision on the entire proof, and all of these pages all have the same version. Now, with Mosaic, what you're able to do, leaning into our folder capability, I'm going to just go to our multi-page here, and I'm just going to bring up our share icon. So now I've got a link here. So anyone with this link is available to see this. I'm going to copy the link and put it over here. So now I can see this is using the folder shareable link capability that you're all familiar with today. You'll notice we've added a nice little addition here. This was released a little while ago where you can see the versions on here. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip into the Mosaic mode. So you can see a little new folder review beta here. So I can click on that, which then brings me over to this tab here. So this looks generally the same. I've got my pages listed down the side here, and I can jump across each of these pages. You'll notice a couple things that are different here. One is you can see this page is approved, whereas the rest of these are still decision pending. I can also see here is version 2 of this page. So what we've actually been able to do when I set up the proof is simply go into this folder. I've added each page as an individual proof. I was able to do that through just a bulk drag and drop and create all the proofs at one time, which has then resulted in my ability to be able to view it this way. This is what we call our new gallery view. So the gallery view has some nice capabilities where you can make this a lot bigger too. So if you want to see a set of assets and you want to go through the approval, you can really maximize your screen real estate. So that's multi-page review. And again, you're able to approve and version individual pages within the document. Now let's take a look at that through the variants use case. In this case, I've chosen a banner ad variants, which is quite common for a lot of people to do. There's 2 ways you can currently do that in the product. One is by being able to group all the assets together and use our asset browser to be able to jump between assets and be able to view each of them independently, of course, comment on them independently as well. However, you can't actually approve each of them independently, because if I'm going to make a decision, I'm making a decision on this entire set of assets. The other challenge here is I can't see all of these banners together. So again, currently in the product, we've addressed that through specifically with banners, this idea of being able to lay out all of the banners all in one view so you can sort of see them all together. You can comment on them at the same time, but again, you can only make a decision on the entire set of it. So you see where I'm going here. Now let's move over into the Mosaic view of this and actually take a look at what we've done here. So in the previous instance, we were in the previous example here, when we looked at the multi-page grouping, we were looking at the gallery view. Over here, we're actually looking at the board view now. So in this board view, this is a fully flexible board view. I can zoom in and out of it. I can control what's here. I can run everything that's visible, so I can see all my animations. I can actually lay this board out however I want. So this board view is really sort of the next generation way that we're thinking of being able to allow you to interact with a collection of proofs. So quite a powerful and innovative way to be thinking about your creative review process. Now, let's take that a little bit further. So here's the board view. And of course, I could go from board view if I wanted and switch to the gallery view. I could then drill into each of these individually, jump through them one at a time if I wanted to, just like in the multi-page view. But let's take that board view example and now apply it to the multi-channel campaign example. And this is what really starts to shine, where the board starts to shine, where you can now see all your creative assets together. So how many times have you run a campaign? You've got, it's a multi-channel campaign. I've got videos, I've got print ads, I've got websites. All of this type of content needs to be reviewed. Now, when you're reviewing it for very specific details, you want to be able to drill into each of the individual proofs, make the comments, mark it up very precisely. But when you want to see the entire creative all in one set, usually you have to export those images, go pop them into a PowerPoint or Google Slides deck, or maybe throw them up on an online whiteboard and really separate it out from your review process. Our goal here with our board view is to give you a much more comprehensive view of being able to see your entire creative and remove a lot of the busy work that you need to do of building up these separate presentation decks. You can just put it all on the board and show it here. And then of course on the board, you can actually interact with each of these. So here's my video running, I can work with it. And if I want to actually drill in to make some comments specifically on a video, I can just double click into it and launch the proof so it gets loaded in. So it's just a totally transformative way for you to be able to work with these collections of proofs. So that was the multi-channel campaign example. The last one I want to show here is now our image selection. So this one here where Mike showed off a picture of his dog, I get to show off a picture of me and my ski racing. Unfortunately, this is not me ski racing, but some amazing World Cup ski racers. But what we can see here, this is an example of it. Maybe this came back from a photo shoot, and so I want to be able to select the different photos. You can see here, I know each of these are in progress for the review. In the future, where we want to take this is you'll be able to actually change the review process or your decision right here on the board. You'll also be able to make board level comments. But today, what you're able to do is just drill into each of the individual assets, make your comments, make your decisions. So I can actually go approve this one. Once this one's approved, I can then flip back to this, and just with a quick reload, because we haven't implemented auto reload yet, you can see that I've now approved this image. So the board view gives you lots of flexibility to be able to work in this environment. Also, to support the idea of this photo review process and photo selection, in the future, we'll be adding the ability to favorite or vote on photos. So you can go through that whittling down process where you might start with 1,000 photos from a photo shoot, and then collaboratively you're filtering through them and selecting them. So that's a feature that's not implemented today, but something that we're looking at for the future. What's also nice too in the gallery view, if you really want to zoom in and I want to take a look at this particular image, I want to zoom in close to it, get it fit to page. I really want to make this big screen, so now I can collapse all of this, yet I still have access to each of the individual assets and I can jump between them. You'll notice there's a little bit of a waiting time here as you move from assets. We'll be speeding that up too as we continue with this feature. So lots of interesting capability here that I've presented, and really being able to allow you to see how to make it easier to manage and review a set of proofs, enable this unique versioning of approvals on assets and groups. And then in the future, we'll be working to streamline the notifications for multi-proof projects. But again, our goal is to be able to address these 4 different use cases with this really new and transformative reviewer experience that you can provide to your reviewers. So the last thing that I just want to highlight is, as part of our Mosaic Early Access program, which I will just jump to here, this is something that we have launched in the past. And in our last webinar, we had lots of great signups, so many signups that we actually couldn't engage with everyone. But we really appreciate everyone who signed up and everyone who took the time to meet with us and the team and really allow us to help shape some of these early stages, moving from mock-up prototypes into actual code prototypes that can be used. So if you'd like to have access to anything that I've shown in this screen here, you're going to be able to do that by simply signing up to the Mosaic Early Access program. So these links will be sent out, but if you want to grab a quick picture and be able to sign yourself up right now, go ahead. But again, those links will be sent in a follow-up. And just to make it super easy for people to be able to access this, let me just show how you would go do that. So you'll notice that I've gone into here. I just can share a folder, and then so I can change this to either restricted or anyone with this link. I simply copy the link, paste it over here, and you'll notice I end up in this view here. If you're part of our early access program, you're going to get this little icon here that'll say new folder review. So when you click on that, that will take you to Mosaic, where you're going to have the ability to look at both the board view and the gallery view. Also gives you the opportunity to give us some feedback. Hey, I think this is great. Awesome stuff. Awesome. And then you can submit that feedback. And we'd love to engage and chat with you as well. So if you've got the opportunity, please go in and actually book some time with us so we can follow up on your feedback. We really want to be able to make this a collaborative experience between our design teams and development teams and all of our users to shape this into something that's really valuable to you. So that's our Mosaic update for today, as well as our Mosaic Early Access program. The other exciting announcement that I'd like to make is our Ziflow Ideas Board. So what is the Ideas Board? It's really got three main goals. The first is allowing you to add your insights to existing ideas that have been already thought about or mentioned, or ideas that we're researching. Also the opportunity to add new ideas. I'll give you a quick demo of this. You can also see what ideas are actively being worked on. So let's take a quick look at what the Ideas Board looks like in your world. So you can see if you go to ziflow.com/ideas, you can see three tabs across the top here. Here's a set of ideas that we're considering as things that we're going to be working on. Things like, say, like spell check and checklists and text compare. These are ideas that we've been researching for a while and things that we're thinking about moving forward. I know there was a question around HubSpot integration. So here's some capabilities around direct email proof creation. Maybe you want to also talk about HubSpot as a web tool and landing pages reviews. So feel free to just drill in here and take a look at any of these. I know someone asked questions about Airtable, so you can actually connect in here and then take a look, see what we're talking about with Airtable. Then if you want to be able to essentially vote for this feature, if you will, just tell us how important it is to you. And then you can enter in any of your comments and your email address. And then what happens is that insight then gets connected right into our road mapping system. And we can start to see what ideas become popular, what areas can really have the greatest impact. And when you're writing this in, we've tried to put in some prompt questions to be able to allow you to think about how to write in good examples here. Really talk about the problem that you're trying to solve, how you solve it today, what doesn't work about that. The more information you can give us about the problem, then the more we can start to pattern match across different users' problems. So we've got our ideas section. We've got things that are actually in development. So here's different cards on our overall Mosaic experience here. So you can see these different use cases that we're working on. Please give us feedback. There's also a link here to sign up for the early access program. This specific card, if you've got feedback on this gallery view, as well as the board view. And finally, and just one quick note is also then there's a release section. So this looks a little empty right now because we haven't gone and backfilled all of the historical releases, but we will be moving forward. The features that are in development today, we'll be moving those into the released category as they start to get released. So this one in development that I want to highlight actually is our Monday.com integration. So we're actually working on enhancing our Monday.com integration to be able to continue to improve it. So I'm also excited to announce that we actually have a new early access program coming up for Monday, which will allow you to actually just, if you sign up here, this will allow you to get access to us as we continue to develop this, give us feedback on how you want to see Monday and Ziflow work together and really shape up what this next generation of integrations would look like. So lots of great things to consider here. You've got all this new Ziflow Project Mosaic capability. Again, Project Mosaic is our internal term that we're using for it. So if you're interested in that, please sign up for the early access program. We've got the ideas board. So ziflow.com/ideas, go in, peruse around, add new ideas yourself, as well as add your insights to additional to ideas that exist today. And then of course we have this Monday early access program as well. One last thing I want to highlight quickly is how to access the ideas board. So I mentioned ziflow.com/ideas, as well as we have in the resource center for those of you that are administrators. In the dashboard, you'll see this link here and you can go to the Ziflow ideas board. And also shortly on our help center, there's an article that'll be enabled. So if you look for ideas board in the help center, this will also be under the category where our release notes are. So when you go check out release notes, you can also see, hey, here's the ideas board. So you can actually go in and check out what's coming next and give us more insight. So with all of that, I would like to turn things over to our host, Erik, and I think we have a few minutes left for questions.
Webinar chat has been on fire. Of course, our Q&A has been on fire as well, and the man behind the curtain, our CEO, Anthony Welgemote, is answering a lot of those questions offline. Want to take one of these questions online because we literally just discussed this during the connectivity and portability section. Will these integration properties also be available for money.com? Apropos of what we just talked about, our money.com integration, are you able to add those application fields to a proof within Ziflow for the money.com integration? John, Mike, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, you can already do it. It was one of the first ones added for the integration properties field. So just directly out of that, you're able to choose your board, you're able to choose the item you want to update, and then use the Ziflow Zybots to update it. So not only will it be available for Monday.com, it already is.
Awesome. Good stuff. So great question there. Here's another one. John, this one perhaps to you. What are the limits of private comments on public stages of proofs? Is this controlled by the proof owner, or is this available for everyone? What's the vagaries there? How do private replies on public comments work?
Yeah, there's some good subtleties here, and it depends on sort of the use case that you're in. So let me just give you sort of the general rules that are followed. And then a lot of this will be covered in the documentation as well, too. So you can work through the specific instances that you have. And if you've got follow-up questions, of course, our support team, I would happy to be able to dive into that. So if it's a public comment, then it's public. If you reply with a private selection, and the person that can control that is basically the proof manager can set up who has access to be able to do private replies or not. But if it's public, you can reply privately. It's worth noting too that when you do any export of data, anything that we consider private, we don't export. So if it's a private comment with private replies, it doesn't get exported. And today, if it's a public comment with private replies, that doesn't currently get exported either. If there's scenarios you'd like to see work a little bit differently there, please throw those into the ideas board and give us some feedback on that as well. But do look out for the more details that we're going to have in the product documentation, just so you can make sure that you're tuning private and public well for your environment.
We had a few questions within the Q&A around access to our early access programs. People may not have been quick on the draw with their phones for the QR codes. We will be sending an email to all those who have registered for this webinar with the links to those sign-up forms. So you need not have to go back into the recording and try to screen cap or try to take a shot of that QR code. You'll be able to try out the early access version of Project Mosaic via our sign-up form when you see that email come through, hopefully first thing next week. Let's bring this thing in for a landing. Once again, we apologize for not being able to get to all of our questions today, but we will respond to them all after our webinar. Few final for your information things, so let's bump over to that slide. The first thing being, please head over to our YouTube channel once you get a free moment. John, I think you've got access to the deck here. Can you bump over to the next slide, please? Thank you very much. Awesome. So please jump over to Ziflow's YouTube channel. This is where you're going to find a ton of amazing content. A recording of this webinar, you'll be share that link to your colleagues. That should be uploaded and up and running by Monday. Ziflow's Help Center. So as a great call to action from this webinar, we have a Spring 2024 webinar recap article on the Help Center live right now. So you can head over there right now to our Help Center, and you can access that article that will provide clickable links to all of the features that you saw, including the release announcements for each one of those features. It's housed within our release notes folder within the Help Center. Really great thing to bookmark because we release fortnightly, once every 2 weeks, to be able to see the new features that are coming out almost instantaneously if you bookmark that folder. Last but certainly not least, if you want one more connection with Ziflow, more than the hour you got from the three of us, please contact your customer support resource to find out a bit more about these features, early access, and more. Or you can schedule a time to meet with us at ziflow.com/schedule-a-call. On behalf of my good friends, Mike Hrymak and John Stetic, we cannot thank you enough for attending our Spring 2024 product release webinar. On behalf of everyone here at Ziflow, my name is Erik Mansur, our head of product marketing. Thank you so much for attending, and we cannot wait to see you all in the summertime for our next product release webinar. Bye for now, and have a sparkling day.